Hello and welcome to Spiritual Sundays, um, Courses for Spirit, the live stream.
Yeah.
Um,
Hello.
so I'm here with Mason, and Jeremy's going to be joining us any minute now. He's just kind of get himself settled. How's your week been, Mason?
Good. It's been good. It's been good. Like kind of just working away, plugging away. Every week's full of things I think about, things I'm working on. Kind of putting effort into a bunch of different spots. It's been okay. How about you?
Hmm. Um, I want to know. I kind of want to know what sort of things that's getting you, really that you're focused in on. Is there anything that you could share with the people watching, or is it more kind of like private stuff that you want to keep quiet?
Yeah, no. Um, oh, there's always like personal things, I guess. But something was I've been hanging out with a friend of mine. We go out and we go for some drives. And we go out on these logging roads. I live out here in British Columbia, and there's all these logging roads that go into the forest for forestry work and all that kind of stuff. So going out there to like feeling the energy of the forest is something that I've been doing a lot every time we go out there
Hmm.
because it feels like such a different place. When I'm in town and stuff, where I'm staying now, it's like a smaller town kind of live just on the outside of town, sort of in town, sort of out. There's always people around. There's always, movement, like action. Um, and so when I go to this place, it's so still. It's so stillness. There's like a level of stillness I'm not used to. So it's kind of cool to tap into it. I mean, even when I go to some of the nature parks around and uh, or like some of the public areas. And you can get to some beautiful, quiet nature pathways, nature forests here in so many spots here in BC. But even then, there's someone's walking their dog, there's different kinds of birds. Like there's either eagles or herons or small birds or so many birds, I don't even know what they are. And yeah, you start to meditate or even just be silent for a few moments and you start to like witness the busyness of the forest and like it actually gets so busy, birds and bugs and everything. But these logging roads, this place where I am talking about going with my friend, we take a truck up there and we just go. It's the forest is very different. It's some of these logging forests that I guess have been planted or taken down and replanted, maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago. So it's almost like not a man-made forest, but the the ecosystem that's been there, I guess, would be disrupted from forestry work. So it's nature. It's a form of nature. There's nature out there. Here's Jeremy. And but I'll just like kind of wrap up by saying it's because it's like a really different ecosystem out there and there's a lot of trees that have been growing for 50 years, but there's not a lot of animals out there. Like not a lot. So it's this other level of silence that is just so interesting. It's almost eerie. It's just so new. Hey Jeremy.
Right.
Hey, I was telling Mike about my week and stuff and some things I'm working on. And I was talking about like feeling the energy of places recently is something I'm working on. And because we go into the logging roads, I'm telling him about the logging roads we have here on the island and that some of the forestry there like worked on so much, it's not as natural as some of the other forested places. And so with less animals, there's this level of silence that is different than like just going into the regular forest. It's really interesting. And yeah, that's interesting in itself. And the the practice of trying to feel the energy of that place, that's a cool practice. You could do it when you like go into a church or someone's house or a store or a certain part of town, like feeling the energy of a place or of a person. That thing is something I'm talking about. That practice. But I don't know what the name you call it, but be something fun for us to talk about. Yeah, so that's it. What do you think? And how are you, Jeremy?
I'm good. Yeah, it's I love feeling energies in places, and London was really great for that because you have like so much history and places with history, and so you can go into a church or even certain rooms in certain buildings that are older, and you can really get a deep impression of what actually went on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about people talk, I've heard people talk about this, energy signatures in places, or you could feel the history in certain places. Um, I wish I knew some more of the science on that, whatever the science on that is, if any. But I find it interesting. Find it interesting feeling the history of places. I find Europe full of it. These old places.
Yeah, and going down logging roads, old logging roads, you can also get a different feeling for what the forest had happened there. Like, was it active? Was it just where it was just logged and then left? Or was there actually activity there?
I mean, some of the logging roads uh, are, yeah, they're untouched, regrowth, things they've planted from logging in the 40s and 50s. So a friend of mine was telling me, and then some spots have been freshly logged and cleared. So you just see really three or four hundred tree stumps and then all the limbs and stuff. So they'll like take all the limbs off the logs and load those on a truck, and those are gone. But all the limbs and stuff that's been left over, the bits, those have all been put into piles. And so you see this huge field of tree stumps, and then just these massive piles every 100 feet or 200 or 300 feet. And it looks so strange because it's such a large landscape with that, like it looks and feels so different than when you're looking at the rest of the forest, even the rest of the man-made forest. And it's like you'd think like, oh, well, of course it looks and feels different. It's just super different. But to just sit there and kind of take it in is just interesting. Something else I think of when I'm there was, I used to live in Toronto and been in a bunch of big cities around. And I contrast like the feeling. I try to recall the feeling of being in a city or a really heavily populated area to that. So it's I don't know. I like to just sit there and try to like absorb what I can from those places. It's cool. It's really cool.
Mm.
When you go into different spaces like that, the forest being different, um, do you do you hear? What do you feel? What do you notice?
Well, the first thing's always like it's like quietness and stillness. And I guess it's like listening to your body when you sit down to meditate. So I suppose like the mechanism that we'd sit and get in touch with our bodies, with our breath, with like the stillness of it in ourselves. I guess it's that same mechanism that you're like turning on or listening with, like standing in the forest. So I guess you kind of ground into the silence of it all, like with your ears. Like you hear nothing, check all your senses. Like, okay, I'm not seeing, I'm scanning with my eyes. I'm not seeing any movement or things that I've got to address. Like I take a breath and I smell it. Usually in these places, like you smell a lot of wood. You can either smell cut wood or you can smell the wood that's standing. Depending on the weather, like you can smell the dampness in the air, or you could smell like if it's a dry day. Like right now it's winter time. The air seems so like moist. Everything seems to smell like thicker. And then I just start like listening for animals or listening for anything that is moving. And yeah, it's so quiet out there. You really kind of start to go inside of your own body. It's like a big sensory deprivation tank. Like you start to hear your own heartbeat when you're like looking off into nothing. There's surprisingly no birds. There's no birds' nests. There's no, like we saw a couple of grouse and one deer. Like that's it. There was like no animals. Um, and I don't know if that's just because they're food or what the ecosystem hasn't been growing in or like the machinery chases them away or all that stuff. But yeah. And yeah, like this just kind of like that. You start to take in, I guess you start to think about the things differently. Like you're smelling wood, but you're picturing the wood, like you're sensing the wood, you're picturing the trees alive. You picture all these trees communicating with each other. It's like, what are they saying before and after this big cut? Like, how do they feel it? Is it a collective consciousness? Like, what? I just start wondering things like that. That nature really draws me into that present moment, just thinking about what's right in front of me, which is interesting because it's like, yeah, there's not many ingredients up there. There's like some standing trees, some fallen trees, a bunch of dirt, and the road and the sky. And it's not like a ton other than that.
Yeah, so there's less birds,
Yeah.
less squirrels.
Yeah. I haven't even seen a squirrel, not even a single squirrel out in this. I rarely even see a small bird. We've seen some grouse and maybe like an eagle was hanging out with the grouse. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I watch nature documentaries. I find it's interesting. And when I was watching 4 or 5 grouse birds, they're like plump little chickens with short wings and they sit up in trees or they run around. And apparently they're not the smartest birds. There's about 4 or 5 of them up in the trees. And then there was an eagle, a big bald eagle, like close to them watching them. And it's like really just interesting to see it in person. I've never seen that set up in a nature documentary. It was interesting to watch these 5 little birds kind of hobbling around, sort of minding their own business. It's like they were all talking, like a bunch of folks at the hair salon or something. And then this eagle was like just sitting over there, like not moving at all. Like it had no problem keeping its balance in the tree. It was like stoic, but it looked really scary. It was like frightening looking because, you know, it was foggy. It was evening, dusky. It was kind of ominous. You don't know if that eagle's gonna try to go after one of those birds. So you sit there and you sort of start to empathize with these birds, and it's like you feel like afraid with them, but you don't even know if they're afraid. And then you start to empathize with the eagle, and it's like, well, how hungry is that thing? Like, when was the last time it ate something? Like, is it trying to eat these things, or is it trying to like fit in with other birds? Because there's literally no other birds. Like, you just start wondering things like that. It's just kind of nice. It's kind of nice to do that and not be on my cell phone. It's kind of nice to do that and not be worrying about anything else. It's kind of interesting. The eagle just flew off. It didn't do anything. I guess we were making noise, and the eagle just took off. Like it was. Did we ruin its lunch? Was it not interested anyway? It was. Yeah. That's mostly how I could describe it. That's me trying to be pretty descriptive of those features I saw out there, and I guess
Yeah,
felt in there.
there is kind of a hangover after a space gets logged, you know, and then there is less nature after a place gets logged as well for a time because it doesn't have the diversity, and the machines scare away even rodents like rats and things get scared away as well for a time.
And it's interesting. You can see where nature, bounces back really quickly. You can see certain logging roads that are traveled on quite a bit and they're kept back, but you can also see where some logging roads haven't been traveled and the nature, just like the roads are thinner, the tree branches are growing over top of them. Like it, even on a windy day, trees fall over the road and like it would not take long for nature to totally make all these logging roads disappear again. It looks like. So,
Yeah,
I always wonder, like it's devastating to the owl that loses its home, of course, but then in the big scheme, like 100 years from now, would it even be known that that happened there? I don't know. Or like would someone feel it the way we're feeling things, right? Like could you how much could you feel it if there was no physical signs of it? Like how much could you tap in? Anyway,
yeah.
yeah. What do you think, Mike? Do you feel any of these things, the feelings, like when you go walking with your dogs and such?
Well, actually, I was thinking about this today, or maybe experiencing it more. It's just the everyday practice of being present in the present moment, which maybe people who've experienced anxiety and might have gone for help with anxiety will be familiar with this, where you're asked to come back to your senses and maybe touch something and then feel how a surface feels or something like that. Is it cold, warm to the touch, soft, metallic? Has it got texture? And you kind of breathing and come back to your breath. And then you might listen for the sounds in the environment as well. So you're starting to engage the senses and then smell. What can you smell? And then sort of begin to look at what can you see. For me, this afternoon, I noticed sunlight coming through the window, and just a patch of sunlight on the wall, and just coming into that back into the present moment when we can often get taken by our thoughts. And so you can practice that. Remind yourself of that, really, whether you're out in the forest or if you're in the city or you're in your house or wherever you are. And then there are environments that aren't so distracting, that there's something eerie about what you're describing with the logging roads and the lack of diversity in those man-made forests.
Yeah.
But then that eeriness would make you go, pay attention to the beating of your heart, maybe the sound of your breath. And when you're walking, you begin to notice, you're the one making most of the noise, so the sound, so you're sort of tuning in again. So regardless of whether the logging, that kind of logging is a sustainable thing, or if it's a good thing or a bad thing, or whatever it is, I guess there's also just thinking about how can we be present in the present moment, and why would we want to do that, and how do we do it, and what are the benefits to us as both individuals and as a collective species of being more present and more kind of in the moment. That's what comes to my mind listening to the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Super. Yeah. Anyway, I love that everything that you just said. And like while you were saying it, I was thinking, yeah, like why, what about the present moment? I was thinking, it's like when you're thinking, oh, it's good for us to go in the present moment. And I just thought it could sometimes it's good to prevent certain feelings, and it's also good to reflect on certain feelings. So, like when you were saying, to come into the present moment, I was picturing coming into the present moment if you're like anxiety or you're upset or you're angry, right? And you try to come to the present moment to quell that so that you don't overreact or you just don't continue to have anxiety. Like, which is great, but there are times when it's so overwhelming and powerful and you do go out and you do react. And I was like, okay, well, even if you still go into the present moment after, even if you reflect on the overreaction or the anxiety that you couldn't stop, that you wanted to stop, maybe use all your best tools, and it's just sometimes being in the present moment doesn't stop it. Like you have to express it or whatnot. Like even reflecting on it after it's happened, like in the present moment. So like whenever you come to the present moment, before or after, I think like they both support, like it's helpful. So yeah, whether it's like I go to the nature, to these logging roads, to this empty space to force me into the present moment or help guide me into the present moment in my body and like inward, there's less out there, so you go inward. Or whether I like take some of that skill and like I bring it back with me. It's like back to town, back to this conversation, like back to something, right? So yeah, like as you're talking, I'm thinking, yeah, the present whenever you get to the present moment, it's good. Sometimes it's good to prevent an outburst or continued thoughts, and sometimes you get trapped in those. And sometimes it's the present moment's good to reflect on those moments when you've expressed or had an outburst or when you've been trapped in anxiety for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always, for me, always is a big word, but it is about return and accepting
Mm.
that we get caught up in the stories in our head and imagining a future that's either, you know, something that we want to experience or it's something that we're frightened that we're going to experience, and remembering the past, thinking about something that just happened, maybe regretting it or maybe celebrating it, maybe wanting to go back to the past, whatever. That's going on a lot for humans at this time in history, I think. And when you return to present moment focusedness, you're paying attention to, you might be just paying attention to what's here now, which could be, the shape and the feel of the cup, or the way that the sunlight's landing, or the heat of the radiator. I've got a radiator behind me, the heat of the radiator, or an uncomfortableness in the body. And it's just kind of just breathing, being present in the present moment, because that is where our power is. Because we can connect in the present moment, we can act in the present moment, we can share things in the present moment. And if we're present with each other, then we're showing up for each other. We were talking earlier about the subject for today, which we've kind of, I feel like we've sort of segued into
Yeah.
this idea about being present with other people in a spirit of friendship. So the thing I've been thinking about over the past week is what happens if I take the agenda that I've got in my mind and I just kind of go, right, I've got an agenda. Why don't I just put that to one side and I just try and be present and do the things that you're talking about, Mason, is just like be aware of how it feels to be in the space. What does it feel like to be where I am? I'm not really doing that in terms of I'm really thinking it through. I'm just sort of breaking it down now to explain it because it's just a natural thing. All we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
if we show up for one another in the present moment without really thinking about what am I going to get out of this interaction or what how is this going to benefit me or anything like that, showing up in a spirit of friendship to be a friend to yourself and a friend with the other person, then I think if we can be present like that and we show up, we know we're showing up, even if it's it's a business, it could be a business meeting. You might be a business person. It's a business meeting. What happens if you turn up? You're in the present moment. You're aware of what's happening. You let go as much as you can of the thing that you think you want to get to, and you show up in a spirit of friendship, seeking to get to know the person in front of you, to form a friendship, nurture something. My way of thinking is that if we do that, and it's an interesting experiment, then something bigger than ourselves gets a chance to work through us and to work through the other person. And then, like, really magical, wondrous things can begin to happen, unexpected things.
Making space for magic.
Yeah, making space for magic, and magic being just nature, because nature's sort of magical, the way that things grow and things change, and the beauty of it all, the diversity of it, the way it all works together. Um,
So, like synchronicity, when you're talking about everything was working together, it's like the two skills that come together well. And what you're saying is the present moment, like noticing what's the happenings of the present moment, and also like noticing synchronicities. Like we were talking about on another podcast, like what is a synchronicity? When two things line up and have that feeling, and it can't just be a coincidence, and the skill of trying to find those in life and trying to pay attention to those in life. And oh, it comes in through a movie or a sign, or a synchronicity comes in through someone's words that they're saying, like a stranger or a loved one. And so you kind of like polish that skill. And then with the polishing the skill of the present moment, now you're like looking at these synchronicities and like just inviting like, oh, that into the present moment to like reflect on it. Yeah, that could be like fun to do. That could be fun to do out and about. That could be fun to incorporate like, into your thinking. It could make you. I don't know. I've just had, well, I've noticed a great synchronicity with somebody. Oh, I meet somebody new and they bring up a topic that I was thinking about just that day, and it just feels so good to talk to them about it. And yeah, that always feels like something bigger is working through me sometimes.
Yeah, sort of universal connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that I like going for walks, and going for walks gives me an opportunity just to show up for myself, for the space, being mindful of everything. And I really love going for walks uh, with people as well, and just showing up, just being present with wherever, just meeting them wherever they're at. And that makes a big difference. I mean, of course, there's other things that maybe there's subjects that we want to talk about, or that I'd want to talk about. And that's okay too, right? That's all right. But just being present with somebody in the moment and just meeting them wherever they're at, that makes a big difference. I think, for in my experience. I also with patients, just meeting patients where they're at, where like clients, they maybe have whatever going on in their life. And so I think it's something that I practice regularly, just to basically just to show up and be present with wherever they're at in that moment, because it can be quite varied, where somebody is. in that moment. And actually, quite quickly, we can change just by being present. We can change. Um, it can change emotional things. It can change um, where if somebody's feeling down, it can really, there can be inspiration that comes from that just by being present in that moment.
Yeah, I think we model like presence. I think people can see, or like if you are are truly relaxed in the present moment, it can give off a vibe. You can just model presence when you can sense it, calmness. I watched a video explaining like we are toroidal fields and the energy we give off these photons like our bodies do, or and we give off this biophotonic energy. And when the photons leave us, they like have a part of us with us, and it like kind of carries our intention. So if we're thinking like we want to respond to someone, or we're just waiting for them to finish because we got to say something, like I think that can be felt. But when you're just listening with an open heart and an open ear, and like that photonic energy is leaving you and picked up by the other person, it can be sensed. I think when the photons leave us, that carries part of us with us, and that's our intention. And that when we receive somebody else's from what they're giving off, that's our intuition. So we also sense somebody's like what they're giving off. It's that thing where you go into a room and you can feel, or you can kind of get a vibe from someone right away.
Mm.
So I think that when you practice coming into the present moment, and this is something I was going to say when you're talking about it too, Mike, when you like really focus on the present moment, because the mind, like your human mind, can't multitask and do two things at once, really. It can do 50 things really quickly, one at a time, which makes it seem like, oh, it's all on my mind. But when you really just give one of the things some space, like the present moment, like it creates a sense of relief, like it puts all that weight down, like it puts all your other thoughts down, and like even the present moment, like for just a moment, like that's all you need to feel that relief of like relaxation. Like if you're carrying two hockey bags around all day, and the instant you put them down, you can feel like, oh, like relief. And that I think is something special. That when you feel that, I think your company feels that. I think if someone's trying to talk to you, trust you, confide in you, and they sense that, I think our bodies are designed to sense these types of energetics. I think that is felt. I think that's meaningful. I think that's what you're talking about, Jeremy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like you're listening right now. Like you're not beside me, but I can feel it. I can feel you
Yeah.
listening, like from the present moment right now. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about too.
Yeah. It's amazing how our minds jump in to the past or the future. And it's amazing how, by coming into the present moment, how much it opens up whatever's there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that the seven hermetic principles, which I don't know what they all are, but I know that number one is, I think it's that it's the all is mind. And so like when I try to think about that, I try to think about everything being the mind, like everything we're doing, everything we're talking about, our bodies, our concepts, our words, our energies, our feelings, heaven if there is one, other spiritual dimensions if there are any. Like I think it's all mind or energy. So I try to just picture that. And then when you go into these places, like we're talking about, like the logging roads or the deep forest or a temple, for example, at an ashram where there's not much, like stuff going on. There's not a lot of physical stuff going on. It as like the physical world gets quieter, your mind world, the mental world gets much louder. And as that mental world expands, like more details become visible and more information becomes available. And like with that, you kind of garner a sense of control. You kind of garner more authority in the whole thing that's like happening within you, like including your emotions and your thoughts and like all that's happening. If you turn it all into mind or think about it all from like a mind perspective, it's you have like some level of control. Some things are happening and it's like not in your mind. Like someone you know is like getting well or getting unwell. No matter where you go or whatnot, it doesn't change that from happening. But you can you can use the present moment to change how you interact with that happening, which then might change the outcome of that happening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where being present when in conversation with people or going for walks with somebody. It's so nice because there's a tapestry that kind of gets woven. This when both people are in that state, then this it reminds me of a tapestry because the thoughts start to weave together, and something happens, like a car goes by, and they notice the car, and then birds are in the trees, and then the birds are there. And so it's really interesting just to be present and making space for that. Yeah, the amount of times that I've
Yeah.
walked with you guys and talked, with Mike, with you, Mike, we're walking through the streets of London, and just all the inspiration that comes up out of that. And same with you, Mason, walking in Seal Bay, and then just whatever conversation naturally comes up is so sometimes inspiring, but often it's balancing. It's like seems like it's this kind of way of things balancing out. That's how I experience it
Yeah, it
anyways.
does. Yeah. No, it does. I was just thinking it's a cool, the last time you and I got to walk together in Seal Bay, there was more quietness in that walk than usual. And there was more quietness in that walk than sometimes with other people. And I was just thinking, yeah, like no quietness or less talking, less talking in one way equates to more presence, so to speak. And then, of course, what we're talking about is more presence could deliver like more insight or more details to kind of brings stuff up. And yeah, it was just a cool, maybe we ought to do that more. Maybe we ought to enjoy walking together more. And the exercise could be like less is more, or we allow something natural to come up. Maybe when we have the urge to speak, we then try to let it percolate even further, take another 20 steps, and yeah, maybe more potent words coming out. I don't know. Yeah, that was just a good memory. That was a good walk. And if we
Yeah,
replicate it with some more thought, it could be even more like rewarding. It's cool.
yeah. Like I really enjoy walking with you, and I enjoy walking with Mike, and with Mike because we've walked around the streets of London, and so in Tottenham, going through the fielded areas, and there's usually people sitting down somewhere, like a pack of kids somewhere, um, and so there's inspiration, noticing the grass, noticing things, you know, which is really quite fun. Yeah, I miss walking with you guys.
Mm.
Yeah, man, we will do it again. We'll definitely do it again. Yeah. The three of us should take a cruise somewhere. That would be kind of be cool to do like a walking show sometime or a show out at nature, the three of us together.
Well, there's a resurgence in the UK. There's a resurgence of pilgrimage. I was looking at it this morning, actually. The pilgrimage society, where they're what they're doing is they're making, connecting people who want to go on pilgrimage to the different kind of holy sites or places of worship in the UK,
Yeah.
and then connecting people who want to walk together and do that, and then places to stay as well. Like people sleeping in churches or in people's houses, and because there are every country and every area has its places where there's been people have practiced presence. You could say it that way by
Yeah, like
you know.
in Spain, there's the Camino de Santiago, which is a very popular, very famous pilgrimage. And there's a route that goes from Barcelona across to Santiago, which is basically on the west side. And so, yeah, so but most people do the France journey part of it, so they go up through the mountains and they walk that way. But yeah, the Camino de Santiago, and I think that pilgrimage. I know many people that have gone on it as well. Besides myself, I know many people that have gone on it, and even just setting up your own pilgrimage can make a big difference. Just the fact of just walking for hours and hours makes a difference. Yeah, it really can be
I
amazing.
feel, yeah, I feel like it's cool to pilgrimage to go to these certain destinations and see historical sites or any, even if it's not historical, so something religious and meaningful. But I also have the thought that, yeah, the whole earth, everywhere on earth is like a temple. I love the practice of being present, like in your front yard, your backyard, at the bus stop, in a church, in a beautiful spot, in a busy, So yeah, I think walking anywhere, like there's a lot of beauty that could be derived anywhere if you really could extract it to the present moment. And I mean, like Jesus and his walk through the desert that you've told me about that, Jared, like that comes to mind when you're talking about it. Like did he just walk and into clarity, or did he like how did that process go exactly? Was walking?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it went for him, but I know that
Yeah,
he had some pretty big experiences though.
yeah,
I
yeah. So
know.
just out for a stroll and that, that.
So Mike, about the pilgrimages, there's a society where they're making them happen.
Yeah, I think it's organizing and connecting people around it so that people can go on walks together or find places to stay or maps of different routes. Because in the UK we're very I'm in London obviously, and if once you when you get out of the cities, the countryside is very rich and varied, and it's surprising as well what's here. Because we tend, we live in our own little bubbles, don't we? And
Yeah,
that's another one of the great things about getting out and traveling or walking or whatever it is. You sort of come out of your own conceptual reality and you begin to interface with the world, and the world is infinitely variable.
yeah. Even like the canal system in London. If you go down to the canal, it's a whole different world. It's like a
Mm,
different dimension where you're walking along the canals.
mm,
Because normally it's below the
mm,
cityscape, and so you've got all these like plants hanging over. yeah, you've got the canal system, and on its own is really rich and
Yeah.
unique in its own way.
Wildlife and communities. So, what this is
Yeah.
making me think about is, as embodied spirit, there can be a time where you might find the physical world, like being physically in the world, like really, really quite challenging. And then there's a time when you kind of, if you're sort of present and can be in the present moment and just like develop that in your life as much, you begin to get an appreciation for. Do you know the film Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders? Have you
No,
seen that?
I haven't.
No, I haven't seen it.
You know the actor Peter Falk who played Columbo, the
Yeah,
detective. He's in
yeah.
that. He's in that movie, and he plays an angel that gave up their angel status to be physical in the body and to feel what it's like to be physically present on the planet.
Oh yeah.
And there's this lovely scene with him where he's taking a break from film. He plays an actor in the film, and he's at one of the catering trucks on the film set, and it's a cold Berlin morning, and he's getting a cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup, and he's going, it's great to feel the heat of the coffee in your hands, and puts the coffee, and he's like, and to feel, rub your hands together when they're cold, and to feel the physicality of that. And that scene's always stuck with me because it was like the simple pleasure of being physical in a
Yeah.
body. Speaking as somebody who's always found it a little bit tricky to be in a body, I didn't, felt a little bit constrained by it many times, wanting to, leave and fly and go into lots of different dimensions, but actually bringing ourselves into this world and being good being here and connecting with other people and connecting with nature, connecting with the present moment. That's something that I've been contemplating quite a lot recently. Well, for years, let's face it, decades probably.
Yeah.
Because things tend to work
Yeah.
out when you're in the present moment.
Yeah, they do.
Ye-
Every little thing's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about a thing.
Mm.
Little Bob Marley.
Yeah,
Everything's gonna be okay.
which is for anybody who's watching this who's going through a really difficult time. It's often, I think that can be the last thing that you need to hear sometimes.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. And you say, oh, how can I not worry about it? How can I not worry about it? Um, well, it's not about not paying attention to the things that need attention, but it's about, look, yes, it might be a wise thing to do for given the circumstance that you're in to be vigilant about what's happening around you, and maybe you need to be concerned about how things are going to work out in the future, but you can't do that 24/7. Your body and your mind needs a break, so there's going to be times when it's got to be just the best thing that you can do is to make yourself a cup of tea, sit and look out the window, go for a walk, breathe, maybe talk to somebody and let them know how you're feeling. Somebody sympathetic who's not going to try and fix you, but will listen to you and stay with you. Which is again is another value for those of us who practice being in the present moment, because we can do that for other people. Is if we can be present with them when they're finding it difficult themselves, then that's a lovely service to offer to people as well, I think.
yeah, it is.
to be
Just meeting someone wherever they're at.
to be with someone when they're, struggling or having a hard time. Sometimes yeah, even if you're just being with someone, sometimes not saying anything, just comforting them, being with them, just the presence is can be the healing thing. Sometimes it's not always the words. I've heard many times like I'm not sure what to say when someone's crying on my shoulder or when someone's just told me some heavy news. And I've just often learned and been told that, oh, just being with them. is, enough is the thing, the main thing. Hug, sit next to them, you know. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? Somewhere, in some ways, that the most powerful things we can do are the simplest.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because, the mind likes complexity because
Yeah,
then that engages your thinking and you're kind of like that. But actually, at the end of the day, what do we want? We don't want to feel alone, do we? We want to, if you could be present with another person and they can feel that you're there, then that's one of the most beautiful things that you can experience on this planet, is that connection to another person. And you were talking about connecting to your environment earlier as well, recognizing that we are part of we're part of the landscape, we're of the landscape, we're of the earth.
Yeah. That thing, like the earth, the landscape, everything, like nature, even our mind, our bodies, not our mind, like we are always it's always healing in a way. It's always healing like itself, this idea of homeostasis where everything's just healing and returning. The mind is the busy thing, that it's like when you said like the mind's always complexity. Sometimes just like getting that out of the way so the body can heal itself is a, the point of the present moment. Sometimes it's good to just, the mind is like, you know, busy nonstop, always chomping at the bit. And some meditations focus on slowing it down. Some meditations focus on putting it on the shelf. But yeah, the present moment, if you're like focused on it, that busy mind like has a hard time trying to get at you when you're like in the sanctity of the present moment. And and yeah, sometimes in that stillness is when like healing happens. Sometimes in that stillness, you feel weightlessness. If your body can just get to homeostasis, right? Here, I've heard even when your body gets unwell, the same philosophy kind of follows. If you just stop the social media, like giving you anxiety, if you stop the fast food, kind of giving you the grease, if you stop the input and you just let your body rest and digest, it's like healing itself a little bit. If you stop picking at the scab, the scab will like heal over. So I think when you mention what some people just cannot not worry, it's it's like the present moment's not about making you not worry ever again. It's like pausing the worry so that you can like recover. It's like pausing the worry so that the worry doesn't overtake you. And if you're like more fortified and more strengthened from just catching your breath for a moment, you can like deal with that worry a little bit better than have it just run over you.
Yeah, it's not, anxiety is no joke, is it? If you're really worried about things, people have got lots of things to worry about. It's just that we need time away from it in order to be able to deal with it better. Sometimes your mind
Yeah.
tries to convince you that you've just got to go, got to go, got to go, think, work it out, work it out. You can't rest. You've got to sort. And it's like, no, no, that's not how nature works. That's not how we work.
yeah,
It's kind of amazing, really, that we would be having a conversation about something like this. But I think when you're in a culture that is about getting somewhere, always getting somewhere, you have to talk about, well, what about being here now? The Ram Dass thing, be here now. That was the big book from Ram Dass, the spiritual teacher. I've got it on the shelf up
Yeah.
there. Be here now. I mean, it's ridiculous that you need books and books and books and books, and there's traditions that with thousands and thousands of years, and ultimately, it's about being present. I don't mean ridiculous in a way like I'm criticizing it. It just can sometimes really surprises me how complex it can be for us as human beings
Yeah.
until we until we have these moments of simplicity where the song of a bird brings you into a feeling of completeness and you feel okay for a while before the noise all starts up again, you know.
It's amazing, yeah, that there's something about this like simplicity in like life that's it's such an effective tool. And yeah, it's like there could be books and books and books and books on it, but also like just the simple words of be here now. Those are two totally contrasty things. And then a lot of what we're talking about, a lot of what you can experience in the present moment is sometimes even beyond words. So again, with the books and the books and the books and the videos and documentaries and the lectures and the gurus, like until you do it yourself, it's like it's almost impossible to like imagine how it, feels without doing it. Like if you read about how an apple tastes for 20 years, like you never know until you finally just take a bite. It's like a totally different thing.
The thing about this present moment thing is that every person has multiple experiences of it because you're like that when you're a kid.
Yeah. Sensory input. You're just like, yeah.
Kids are in the present moment, generally, aren't they? So we've all had that experience, and I think our culture has talked us out of it as if that's not a valuable thing anymore. It's like, well, you're not a kid anymore, you're supposed to move on. Like the idea of modernity being progress, and that indigenous cultures are seen as being, by some people anyway, as being primitive, and primitive somehow being becoming some kind of an insult or something. But we've all had that experience of being feeling a sense of oneness with the moment that we're in, and that fascination for watching a little bug crawling across a leaf or something like that, and or watching it disappear into a hole or something, and that kind of fascination and curiosity and attention to the moment. So we have all, it's not that we're strangers to it, it just might be that we've become estranged from it temporarily.
Hmm. I think that the that fascination of watching an insect do its thing or studying is it's like returning to a child. It's like what we're talking about when your mind can only focus on one thing, when you're having that like, oh wow, you know, like learning. When kids are learning everything, like their brain can only do that at once. So, and I've heard that learning is like growing the brain, that learning is like the opposite to trauma or something that, stagnancy that ruins your brain. Like it grows new neurons, it grows new brain cells, it keeps the machinery going. So if you're learning through the present moment, that's one way the present moment could translate to health or brain health or mental health or something. I mean, or spiritual health if you're downloading or witnessing synchronicities or whatnot. Like I think it has a direct effect on our like physical chemistry. Also, too, if you're having anxiety and run-on thoughts, every time you have the anxious thought, even if it's a repeat thought, like it sends the adrenaline into your bloodstream. It's like it sends the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, those things get activated. So stopping that is health. Like that continued is unhealthy. Stopping that is like healthy, especially over a long period of time.
Yeah. Well, do you know what?
Yeah.
We've been on live stream for nearly an hour, which certainly for me has felt like 10 minutes, and I hope for you at home it's flown in as well. And maybe, to stick with our kind of tradition in a way, we ought to think about maybe finishing up with a meditation. I think Jeremy's starting to, I can see Jeremy's kind of started to meditate.
Yeah.
Do you, anybody want, any of you, do you guys want to lead us into a meditation? Does that feel like the right thing to do?
It feels like the right thing.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, wasn't sure earlier, but like if why not? Yeah, even a short one, even a short meditation, just about like this present moment stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, a meditation on the present moment, coming into the present moment, is something we've done a handful of times, but it's something that can be done differently every single time. And it's a skill that's fun to practice. So I don't mind doing that at all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want me to lead one?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just
Okay.
start.
So even right now, like just with the acknowledgement that a meditation begins, or you want to look in the direction of the present moment for you guys, for myself, for anybody watching, you just initially sort of conceptualize the present moment and you begin to create the present moment or move towards the present moment, just even at the speed of thought. Just even as I'm saying this, we just are preparing ourselves to go into the present moment and to observe without judgment and to move into that space with as much love as you can, with as much of yourself as you can. And you just begin to notice like this moment. Just begin to notice this reoccurring moment. Just notice how your body physically adjusts to this present moment. Just like notice your body's desire to be comfortable in this present moment. Do you have to adjust? Do you have to scratch, itch, move? And just try to nurture yourself closer to a more comfortable present moment, one step at a time, one patient little thing at a time. Try to notice if giving any attention to your breath helps soothe you in this present moment. Try to give yourself permission to focus only on your breath for just a moment. No defined period of time. Just noticing every detail you can with your inhale through the nose and noticing every detail you can when you exhale through the nose, through the mouth. Notice how you want to exhale your breath. Bring it in through the nose, but does your body want to exhale through the mouth, through your nose again? Because the present moment is timeless itself, you have permission to sculpt it as slowly as you want to, or as quickly as you want to. In practicing patience within this present moment, try to pay attention to which exhalation does feel better. If you slow it down, try to inhale through the nose with awareness and exhale through the nose with awareness. Try it for 2 breaths. I'll do it with you. To the nose, out to the nose. And one more. in through the nose and out through the nose. And now take the same breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Take another breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And try to notice, is there anything about these breaths that you like? While allowing your breath to return to its function, can you at the same time notice which breath suits you better today during this meditation? And once you pick the way that you want to exhale the breath that you're taking in, that we're taking in together, just acknowledge the patience that that took to witness that, to experience that with yourself. And as you take a breath in through the nose now, pick the style of breath you want to move forward with. If you like exhaling through your mouth, pick that. If exhaling through your nose made you more comfortable, pick that. And I invite you and we invite each other to breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth or nose to whichever way you feel and have chosen. And we move forward to the next thing that's coming up. Breathe in through the nose and out again. And just notice what comes up for you. Notice anything that comes up for you. Notice one thought or many. Notice one thought or other thoughts that follow it. As you breathe, try to notice the nature of your thought. Is it fast? Is it quick? Is it anxious? Is it moving? Is it calm? Are you thinking of something beautiful? Whatever it is, try to notice that and try to notice, is it different than the breath you were just taking? Try to get back in touch with your breath. Try to notice that breath. Try to control that breath again. And try to check back in with that thought, that which is coming up, that which you have allowed to arise and sit next to your breath. As if your consciousness is witnessing both at the same time, or observing one and then observing the other. And now we simply notice, how does that thought, that feeling, that which is arising in you now, how does that feel when you put your breath over top of it? When you consider that in your awareness, and at the same time you breathe into the present moment. You breathe in and out through the nose or mouth, whichever you've chosen, while holding that thought. And try to notice, how does your breath affect that thought, that which is coming up? Does the calmness, does the stillness from our original step into the present moment and awareness of our breath, does that have an effect or translate to that which is coming up afterward, that which is coming up within you now? Can you notice how your breath and the stillness of the present moment is the foundation, is the room to which your thoughts are invited to come into? Can you imagine that your breath and the present moment is the set and setting that's going to shape or influence your thoughts coming in? I want to invite you to consider one more thought, one more feeling that's arising in you now. I want you to invite it into this room of presence. I want you to say, can you just sit with me here? Can you just sit with me in this loving time and space, in this presence? No matter who you are, what you have to say, how you want me to feel, can you just sit with me in this presence for just this moment? Can you introduce this thought to a calm nervous system? Can you show your nervous system that you're safe in this stillness? Can you show that whatever's coming up naturally, that it's receiving love as well, if it sits with you in this room of presence? And with that acknowledgement of safety and that feeling of nurturing stillness to that which is coming up, exercise patience one more time and take a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth or the nose, whichever you choose, as you sit with that which has come up, as you sit with your calm nervous system, as you sit with yourself, however you are. Notice your skill of patience being implemented right now. Notice how much patience it takes to get to this point since we've begun the meditation. Notice, has that which has come up changed for you at all? Is that which is coming up able to sit with you? Or does it need to transform on its own as you sit still with it? Without your efforting to change anything, without your trying to fix anything. What is happening with you and with that which has come up with inside you in this present moment? As you acknowledge what's come up, and as you intend now to return to center, to return to the space, thank that which has sat with you, that which has been inside you. Thank that which has stepped into the light with you, and prepare yourself to move to the next part of your day. Prepare yourself to come to the end of this meditation and to look in the next direction you want to go forward. Decide if you want to take anything from these present moments with you, or decide if you need to move on completely to another area of your life. And with that, I invite you to continue if you want. I invite you to come back to the space. Carry on how you see fit. I guess we got a couple sleepers on us. And you're muted for Mike. You're muted. Goodness. I think perhaps Jeremy's transcendental.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, yeah, a few times what I found myself doing was following what you were saying, then going into like a dream world and seeing a
Yeah,
Yeah.
forest and seeing a wood, and then the dream would get me, and I go, vroom, and then I'd wake up and go, oh, I fell
same
asleep.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. I wish I could explore that more with you guys. And I hope your nervous systems and your minds and your hearts got a rest through that, whatever that process was. So yeah, I love doing that with you guys. It's so nice. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much. I think we should sort of honour our time limit more or less. I mean, we're a little bit over, but should we think about closing up for everybody who's like watching online? Thank you for joining us again,
thank you for joining us again.
and we'll be
Yeah.
here. We'll be here at the same time next Sunday for more kind of spiritual gathering, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe some more meditation, maybe some more practicing that, maybe just more practicing the approach into the present moment. Um, it could be done infinitely, but you guys almost look, I don't, blissed out or something. I really wish I could follow up and ask you guys more about it. I wish we had more time. It's cool. You look light.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. Well, thank you very much, Mason. Thank you for a lovely meditation.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so it's always nice just being with you guys. Anyway, we'll see you and everybody else like next week or next time we're here. Yeah,
Yeah.
love you
Well,
guys.
I'm just going to stop the live stream. Here we go. So, bye till next week to everyone.